and the latest. You've got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Speed, endurance, desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim, to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
Welcome to the Three-Dimensional Services Group Muscle Car Challenge from the streets of Detroit. Doesn't get any better than this, but Scott Goodyear joining me this weekend. It's a real challenge, a street circuit. Tougher than Lime Rock, tougher than many of the courses we go to.
Anytime you go to a street circuit, especially a new street circuit, there's a lot to be learned, and we're watching here these last couple of days, and I will tell you that a lot of drivers are overextending the boundaries here, but it's going to take patience to be able to finish this race and not end up against the wall. Remember, it's the highlight here at Detroit, but you're also running for a championship.
Well, Thomas Merrill took the championship lead, our current champion after Lime Rock, and Matos is still in the hunt, but it's the youngsters, the likes of Connor Zillage, Evan Slater, and many more, all snapping up their heels. But will they be patient around these streets? We'll find out. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with all the action.
I'm Richard Petty, and you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor, give Clean Harbors a call.
How good is this? Look at this view from Losowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
We turn 140-mile-an-hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the V-Box HD2 system.
Well, welcome here to the Chevrolet Detroit GP. And speaking of Chevrolet, here we are. Yesterday, our Motul Pole Award winner, Connor Zillage, who in yesterday's race also got the fastest lap. But unfortunately, due to a small technical infraction, Connor Zillage is starting in the back of the grid. But that reminds me, I got to go start his camera, because I put a camera on the rear of this car because this is going to be some unbelievable footage. Connor Zillage working his way from the back. Connor, good luck. Yesterday's Pro-Am winner, Bruce Raymond, racing this beautiful Optima Batteries car. He's going to be out here in this Optima Batteries car, our Pro-Am winner from yesterday. We expect to see him on the podium at Pro-Am today. But look at these snake eyes right here. I've always just really loved the snake eyes on Bruce Raymond's car. And then we've got Luke Rumberg here from Virginia, racing the Manchester Hydraulics Mustang. Michelle Abadi, the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series fan favorite from last year. Michelle Abadi and her Ghost Energy Lucas Oil Showtime Motorsports Chevrolet. Ty Young right here, Ty Young, I like the new nose. Happy to have you back out here. Tom Sheehan, our Iron Man in the TA2 series. Back out here in that number 97. And we're going to walk our way back up through the grid. We love having all the fans here. Thank you so much to IndyCar and Roger Penske for having us here. It truly is an honor. We've got Matt Parents here, and Matt's with his kids. Matt is the driver that brought the flag in for us yesterday, but his two sons are here all the way out from the Pacific Northwest. So Matt Parent, thanks for coming out. Doug Peterson, Three Dimensional Services Group, has joined us again. This is the Three Dimensional Services Group race Sunday here at the Chevrolet Detroit GP. Jim Gallagher doing really well this year, the new number 16. Kind of a new livery for him. We're used to seeing him in the red car. Josh Sarche out here with Liqui-Moly. Josh, we haven't spoken to you very much yet this year, so how is it going, and how do you like these street courses?
Oh, street courses are a lot of fun. Thanks for coming over here. Thanks for all the fans for watching. Yeah, we just got to get a clean race here for Liqui-Moly and get this car up front.
Nice. I love it. Get the car up front. Racing with the Liqui-Moly Cube 3 Stevens Miller Ford Mustang. Then over here, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but Jade Buford, so let's get a shot of this if you don't mind. The Get Well Scott. He's racing the Scott Borchetta, number 48. And Jade, when you got out of the car yesterday, did you speak to Scott? Did he give you any good advice?
We didn't talk yesterday. We've just been working hard as a team all weekend. Been fighting a couple gremlins in the rear of our car, and hopefully we can get them sorted and at least get a good finish to top off the weekend.
Nice. Jade Buford, yeah, yesterday about an hour before the cars went on track, I saw his crew totally replace the rear end of the car, which is just absolutely crazy. Then we come up here, Barry Bowes, the number 20 Accio Data car. If you're a Harry Potter fan, that's one of the spells of Bring Me the Data, so that's Barry Bowes in the number 20. Bacon had a hard off in the session before the race. His team worked feverishly. He's back together, running really fast, did really well in yesterday's race. So we're happy to have Caleb Bacon out here. The youngest in the group and the fastest Chevrolet yesterday, Ben Mayer out here in this number 75, 14 years old, racing with us in the Young Gun Series. So happy to have Ben Mayer out here representing Chevrolet, the fastest out here yesterday in the race. Then since Justin doesn't have his helmet on, Justin Marks, Trackhouse Racing, racing with M1. So Justin, I know that you love these street courses. You did really well with us in the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix a few years ago. And are you also trying to get insight on your Chicago race?
Yeah, all of the above. I did this when I was like 16, but today it's legal. So that's what makes the street racing pretty fun. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, Daniel was able to get some laps on Friday to get him ready for the Chicago race. I just like driving these cars and, you know, new street circuit here, and so just excited to participate.
Now, being the Chevrolet Detroit GP, do you have extra pressure on you representing Chevrolet?
Not till you said it. Now I'm starting to feel it. No, I mean, all the fine folks from Chevrolet, obviously big supporters of this event. I was able to talk to a bunch of them yesterday, and just proud to be here with Chevy and racing under that beautiful building behind us.
Perfect. Well, that's Justin Marks here in this number 8 Trackhouse M1 race cars car. Darren Mock doing really, really well in the points championship. He's here with the EB Research Partnership. I have another rear camera on him I'm going to turn on right now, but super excited to have Darren Mock here doing really well this year in the championship. So watch out for Darren Mock in the Nitro Motorsports Ford Mustang. Nathan Hearn, you saw yesterday he had a flat tire, came in early because he really wanted to save the car for today's race. Always a super fast driver. From Australia, he's used to racing at Bathurst, so this is like nothing to him. Adrian Lostowski did really well yesterday. Super excited to have him here with the Hawk Performance Ford Mustang. Misha Goikberg here from Canada, which is just right there. But Misha, welcome. Have a great race out there. But one of the drivers I really want to talk about, brag about, Thomas Annunziata. We've talked about him. The best eyebrows in motorsports, did really well. Good fight with Thomas Merrill yesterday. Just missed the podium by 1 place, finished 4th. But look out for this Nitro Motorsports Nerd Focus energy drink, Bayshore Mortgage, to come up the green. Then Austin Green did really well yesterday, but had some tire problems, had to retire pretty early. And then the one that's kind of confusing here, but is really good, Dylan McIvern. I know that doesn't say Dylan McIvern, but Dylan McIvern is in this car, had a really good race yesterday, moved up a couple of position points. He's in this number 17. And you can see here, in memory of Silas, we score for number 4. I love it. Dylan McIvern out here. Love having Dylan back in the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series. When Dylan's in this series, and this has been probably, 7-8 years, he's always in the hunt for the championship. He's more of kind of like an endurance driver, so he keeps the car under him until about the last 10 laps and then goes for it. So really watch out for this number 17, Screen Your Machine. Yesterday's winner, Brent Cruz. This Nitro Motorsports Franklin Road Apparel Ford Mustang right here, 15 years old, unbelievable racing phenom. So happy to have him here. He's actually sponsored by Treetop Apple Juice. I was looking for him to pull out the apple juice yesterday, but you can see by his helmet, just signed a contract with Toyota Racing. So we're happy to have Brent here with us and can't wait to see where Brent Cruz goes. We're going to come one more place, because if I was to pick somebody to really watch out for in this, he had some bad luck yesterday, but Mike Skeen is always in my, if we had like a top 3 of who I'm thinking is up to be at the front, he's always in there. Mike Skeen, 3-dimensional services group, always a great driver, has a ton of street racing experience. And then behind him is Rafa Matos, so look out for Rafa Matos. Behind him, Robert Noaker, and then Thomas Merrill, last year's champion. So we're going to work our way up to the front. We're going to work our way up to the front of the grid, show you this beautiful Chevrolet Corvette here at the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. And again, one more time to IndyCar, to Roger Penske, just thank you so much. It's so cool for us to be just a part of this event. Our drivers absolutely love racing here on the streets in Motor City. And we've got Ford versus Chevy, a true Detroit battle here with this beautiful Bowman Chevrolet Corvette leading the field. So I'm going to go to you and Scott, Jonathan.
Thanks, Ben. Yes, as always, a lot of fun to see the pre-grid and also get an insight into what it's all about before the race gets underway. Alongside me, I'm delighted to be joined by Scott Goodyear once again. And Scott, slightly cooler than yesterday, but I would argue that it could be a more interesting race today because the guys are dialed in. They know the circuit now.
Well, no doubt they went and did a little bit of work last night to change some things on the car. Braking seemed to be a bit of an issue simply because obviously a very long backstretch at 7/10 of a mile, a lot of heavy braking area, the heat keys in the car, and the drivers were talking about that sort of an issue that we had. And as you can see here with the circuit, a very tricky circuit in a lot of senses because it's a lot of 90-degree turns. Turn 1 here, very narrow. We've seen some issues there. Turn 2, so important. That run down that 7/10 of the straightaway all the way down to turn 3. On that backstretch there, that will be the start and restart zone for today's races. That run down to turn 3, we've seen issues in IndyCar and also here in Trans Am. A U-turn sort of reminding me of Long Beach, but the next corners here, 4 down to 5. You get to see the Detroit River and Canada on the other side. The most tricky part, I think, 6 and 7. Seen a lot of issues with guys trying to hitting the wall on the exit of turn 7. And then 8 and 9, and pit in is right there if you need it, but there's the finish line right there.
So there's a look at the Detroit circuit. And don't forget, MAV TV will be showing all the highlights of both the weekend's races on the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 series. And you can see that at 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, June 8th. So we are right at the headquarters of GM, and it's absolutely a beautiful day here. You can see not a cloud in the sky, and absolutely fantastic to be here. Here's the grid. Mike Skeen on the front row, but Brent Cruz it is who lines up. And in fact, that actually is not the entire grid for this one. Let me just correct that. The grid for today sees actually Connor Zilic and Brent Cruz on the front row, then Mike Skeen and Rafa Matos, Noaker, Merrill, McIvern, Green, Annunziata, Goikberg. Lostowski's lines up in 11th. Hearn is 12th. Then Mock, Marks, Mayer, Caleb Bacon, and just behind Bacon is Moffat, Bowes, Buford, Sargé, Gallagher in 21st position. Peterson, Perrin, Sheehan, Young, Michel Abate, Luke Rumberg, and behind him we've got a total of 30 in. Well, we've got Ty Young, Michel Abate, Rumberg, and Raymond. That's how it lines up. So, there you see, the pre-grid is lined up and ready to go. They will pop out of turn 9 and head out onto the track. They'll do 2 pace laps. The boats are ready. They're not fishing. They're watching from the sidelines between America and Canada. What a spot to be. Scott, looking forward to this one?
From what we saw yesterday, I'm going to watch that front row exactly off the start because, you know, there's a little rubbing and shoving yesterday, so I think there might be a little bit of payback when we see the race take off between Cruz and Connor Zillage. So I'm waiting to see that.
All right, well, we'll take a short break. It's the calm before the storm here in Motown. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with all the action after this.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than 3-Dimensional Services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust 3-Dimensional Services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. 3-Dimensional Services. Prototype, production, proven.
Commercial break.
Welcome back to Detroit. As you can see, the pace car ready to go, and we are ready to go. So let's head down to Ben Sissel for those famous words.
All right, well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Chevrolet Detroit GP, and I have the honor of having Bud Danker here, the chairman, in this beautiful Chevrolet Camaro. And, Bud, what does it mean to be back on the city streets of Detroit?
You know, it's been 32 years since we've been back in Detroit racing. We're still the Motor City capital of the world. Can't thank you, Chevrolet, and all of our partners here, PPG, of course, in this beautiful car for allowing us to be back here. And the thunder of these Trans Am cars is just epic, these pony cars. And been blessed with great weather. We're going to put on a great show today.
Now, not to throw shade, but these cars that are about to come out here are unmuffled race cars, Detroit muscle. So please be loud and deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
So, as you can see, we are set fair for what should be a really interesting race here. We've had one already. There's the start line finish. We are 5 minutes from the start, but that's plenty of time to get the cars out on track. And what would you be looking for on this sighting lap? You've got 2 pacing laps.
Well, for certain, the guys are going to start warming up the tires and getting everything organized. You know, and last night, those guys went back and looked at the data and tried to find out how they can make the car better over all these bumps, because that's the issue that we had yesterday. As tires wear out, the fuel load gets lighter, and you want to try and go quicker, but I don't think they had the grip. We saw a lot of guys complaining about grip in the turns, power down, because you've got a lot of horsepower here, Greeny. And the other thing, too, as we talked about, is braking. You've got to make sure you have something to go racing at the end of the day with. That's tires and brakes.
Well, this is the three-dimensional services group Motor City Showdown, and we welcome our viewers live on MAV TV. Scott Goodyear and Jonathan Green bringing you the action from the second race in a row here at Detroit and the third race in literally a week. So a very important time in our TA2 Spike Coolers season of racing for Trans Am, and a lot of points up for grabs. And already I thought somebody might step up and start, hauling in the points, like Merrill, who won at Lime Rock. But in fact, it's Brent Cruz who leads the championship right now by 12 points after that win yesterday. So we are looking for this young gun to do exactly the same again.
Well, you talk about the young gun. Brent Cruz yesterday had a very experienced Rafael Matos behind him, and we sort of predicted in those last 10 laps Rafas was going to come on hard and make the charge, but he wasn't able to do it. And the 15-year-old was driving like a 25-year-old because not a mistake and drove perfectly to see Brent Cruz, and he's now leading the Drivers' Championship.
And you could see it yourself, 471, Thomas Merrill now second, 459. Matos moves back up to third from fourth yesterday, 455. So Matos has got lots of reasons, if you will, to win this race. And in terms of the young guns, look at this. Brent Cruz and his arch nemesis, Connor Zilic, who was the fastest and will start pole. 387 has Zilic and 471 has Brent Cruz. Evan Slater, sadly not taking part. He had a ding yesterday, not taking part this weekend for this second race anyway, after yesterday's race. So he's the only real missing person. Obviously Skeen's car has been repaired, but actually not a lot to talk about. If you missed yesterday's race, yes, you missed some great racing, but there's no big penalties, no big crashes, and nobody really falling foul to damage from the track in terms of their car.
We come from Belle Isle, that smooth-flowing race circuit, I'm going to call it, still a street circuit it was over in Belle Isle. It certainly had some roughness to it, but different corners. Here we got 90-degree corners all the way throughout the circuit, maybe just 1 through 6 and 7, a bit of flowing turns, but in a 90-degree section like we have now, it's power down, coming out of the turns. The biggest thing these guys dealt with yesterday, along with the braking. But what I'm going to be watching for today is they're a little bit more confident of the race circuit, as I mentioned a second ago, changing some things on the cars, maybe tire pressure, spring shocks, whatever you want to do to make the car more comfortable for you. But as a driver today, you guys know that you got to get a good start, stay out of the melee that seems to be going on, that we seem to have in a lot of classes yesterday, including the Indy Lights race, the Indy Next race, if you can recall. You got to get through turn 1, which is at the end of this long straightaway, and it's really turn 1 is turn 3 as far as the start is concerned. That's going to be the key issue.
Yes, I wonder as we look down on the streets of Detroit, what Mr. Ford or Mr. Chevrolet 100 years ago, plus 120 years ago, would have thought of 2023 and their name, their brand, their bow tie, their Ford Mustangs out here today, doing it as they always did around the streets of Detroit. And what a remarkable time to celebrate American motorsport and American muscle cars in this Motor City Showdown.
And then when you say about that, about the manufacturers, it's the drivers that feel the pressure sitting here, because I've lived it when I came here and drove either a Ford-powered or a Chevrolet-powered Indy car. You are in the home of both those manufacturers, and there's pressure on to do well, and especially the young guns running up front, because they're trying to get bigger rides, better rides in NASCAR these days.
Yeah, when you've got Bud Denker doing your start command, you know that Roger Penske, Chip Ganassi, and all the Indy cars, Michael Andretti, you name it, are all here watching.
They're watching, they're aware of what's going on, and they're looking for young drivers all the time. We talked about Brent Cruz yesterday. He looked at some single-seater stuff this year, and certainly a guy that a lot of other people are watching, not only in NASCAR, but in single-seater. So all the drivers, no matter what discipline you're doing here, you're in Detroit. You want to win. This is a street race, and Trans Am's with IndyCar this weekend. A lot more pressure.
So we're looking at the young 15-year-old Brent Cruz. Interestingly enough, he won yesterday. That was his second win of the season, his 5th career Trans Am win, but perhaps more importantly to me anyway, his second win on a street circuit. And that's pretty impressive, given that he hasn't had the experience, given he started basically racing on ovals on the dirt and continues to do racing like that. But very impressive to win at Nashville and here in front of this massive Trans Am field.
And the one word for that, if you had to ask me for it, is patience.
Yeah.
Patience from a then in Nashville 14-year-old and a 15-year-old as of March of this year. And he's got guys behind him like Rafa Matos that have been in IndyCar and big cars, around the world, and has the experience. Looking in the mirror and seeing Rafa there, that's got to put a bit of pressure on you, and he withheld it yesterday.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start, and you can see those ominous-looking yellow cars behind Brent Cruz, and he's got to defend. Now, he did a really good job at restarts yesterday, and that's what I'm hoping he'll do again, but it's easier said than done to get it right every time. It's a rolling start, and you tell me, you've done plenty of them. How do you get it right? Because you've got 30 guys behind you wanting to do the same thing.
Well, obviously, if you're on the lead, you get to accelerate first once you get into that start zone when we go for the initial start. So make sure you time it right. As a guy that's in second, you're listening and watching the car in front of you, and you try to time it so you're going exactly the same time that he does, so you're at least even getting off the start zone. And that way it maybe gives you an opportunity to go and dive in and maybe break deeper than the guy that's in front of you and get through the turn. They're going to want to lead this first lap, really, because it's so hard to pass here. And if you can get out in clean air and not have to worry about some guy sticking his nose into you, that's what he's off for. And, Matos knows he needs to make a move here very quickly. And, he's back and forth right now. But like I said earlier, I'm watching this front row simply because with Zilic and Cruz, two young guns, two guys that were so quick yesterday, I'm going to be interested to see what happens here.
Yeah, and as we said, this is a very important part of the season. What have you noticed? Oh, this is bad news. In comes the 86 of Mike Skeen, and that is not planned at all. What has happened here to Mike Skeen? One of the favorites for the race. He had a problem, went into turn one, and that is really interesting because now the race is under the control of Brent Cruz. We are going racing without Mike Skeen.
Well, it looked like they were about ready to take that window net down, which means he felt something in the car that was not just going to be a short fix there. So we'll have to see if they get that repaired and come back out. But he was slated to start third today, so that's going to be interesting. It takes one very commanding driver out of the start.
As you can see, 2 by 2, that's exactly as planned. Brent Cruz has got them lined up. Alongside him, two-time champion Rafa Matos. Matos, the wise fox here when it comes to starts. We'll be heading towards that Chevrolet bridge in the distance. Then you'll see the starter, and then it's up to Brent Cruz and Rafa Matos to lead us away here at the Motor City as we head away for the showdown in Motor City. Good start from Brent Cruz. Annunziata gets away well too. Who's going to take the run? It's going to be Cruz in the red and white. And the Ford Mustang takes the lead. Matos will go second, and there's Merrill. And once again, the two competents from last year, Merrill and Matos, going second and third. Hell-bent for leather out of 3 and into the narrow 4.
Now that's a downhill run, and you really dives down. You don't really see it just here on the screen, but when you walk the course, man, it's different. And this is the most difficult part. Very narrow getting through there in that drive that you have going up to 6 and 7. That's almost like a ski jump there right in the middle of the turns. Transition is very important. We saw a lot of people having difficulties there. This run down to 8 and a very quick left-hand turn, a short straight here to turn 9. The right-hander coming on to what will be our finish line coming up here just in front of the pit lane. That's where we are now.
Good start from McAvern in the blue and white and yellow, just behind Merrill in 4th position. Then Annunziata already looking very racy indeed as they dive through turn 1 and up the hill for 2. Important corner turn 2. You've got to get great drive out of here. And already Brent Cruz building a lead. Look at the lengths he's got. 5 car lengths already on Matos. Early in the race though, some 1 hour to go or just under. And already now Matos under pressure from his arch nemesis in Thomas Merrill from Salinas, California.
But very smartly taking the inside lane that you see the yellow car with Matos. He turns around, knows it's a U-turn. Just make sure you get through there cleanly, and there's a short drive over here till turn 4. Little pushing and shoving going on already.
No kidding. Austin Green under massive pressure there. And it's the number 60 of Robert Noaker, who didn't get the best of starts and is now trying to recover a little bit at the moment. Hearn dropped back. Misha Goikhberg got ahead of him. There's Hearn in the 29. And I think Hearn might just play it a little quieter this time out. He got a little too aggressive, got a puncture yesterday, and that ruined his day. There's Lostowski going through in the Hawk car in 10th position. So the field's spreading out already with 57 minutes to go, but Nathan Hearn all over the back at the moment of Noaker. Onto the main straight again and losing big ground. Brent Cruz is putting in some excellent laps so far. That last lap a 1:15.6. So right on the pace already is Brent Cruz, and pulling away from the second place. The gap 1.4 seconds already, and Matos has got enough on his hands with Merrill. Surely Merrill's going to make a move now.
Yeah, Dylan McIver makes nice move there into turn one. You know, you got to make sure you get a bit of a draft off the car in front, and here we go again. These guys are going to be side by side. The inside lane is definitely preferred, but the drivers are going to go down there and protect it all the way down to turn three, not allowing anybody to stick their nose on the inside.
As you say, nice move by Dylan McIver on Byrne there, and then Misha Goikerberg, Lostowski, and here's Justin Marks. First look at him. He's got Ben Mayer in front of him, the 14-year-old. Pretty ironic, isn't it? You've got a team manager and team owner of a NASCAR team chasing down a young 14-year-old, but holding his own brilliantly, Ben Mayer. Spoke to Mayer, and the only thing he's struggling with physically, because he's only a small lad, he really is a tiny little thing, and we were talking about physically how he's dealing with a big, massive horsepower car, and he said it's the pressure on the brake, under heavy braking, that he struggles with, especially as the day goes on.
When you're talking about the pressure, they can look at the data inside the car and see what kind of pressure that they're putting on the brake pedals. So these guys are seeing pedal pressure, and they're talking about 1,000 or 1,200 pounds of pressure they want to get onto the braking system. And, he's not being able to achieve that throughout the whole race itself, as we see a lot of dicing going on right now in the background. But, a lot of the smaller drivers need to get into the gym and work out very heavily to sort of take advantage of becoming a better, stronger driver for not only what they're driving now, but what we talked to them the other day is what you're going to be driving a year from now, because the car's going to be bigger and heavier to drive.
Well, this is an interesting battle here between second and third, Matos and Merrill. All trouble for Matt Perrin, and he had problems yesterday, and it looks as though he's got a puncture front left again on the 14. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's gone. The rim, he's on the rim already, so he's going to try and nurse it back and get back to the pits, but Matt Perrin, again, out of this race. Through goes the leader. I was just about to say, Matos and Merrill, in their battle, has allowed Annunziata to catch up. Then we've got this three-way battle already starting to heat up nicely, led by McIvern, and at the back of those three-way battle is Nathan Hearn. So, a good frenetic start to this one, and as we expected, well, the only thing we didn't expect was Mike Skeen going out, but we are now getting normal service resumed in terms of the contenders. McIvern, though, gets a good start. Can he drag this little group up to the leaders, I wonder? Cruz is hoping desperately that there isn't a safety car. 1:14.6, fastest lap from Matos last time out. Now, question is for me, where the heck does Merrill make a move?
Well, you can tell that he's looking right now and moving around, but these two guys fighting each other really plays into Cruz's hand, as you're mentioning before. So we go.
Here comes the 14, yeah. They're going to jack him up, put another wheel on that front left. It was a puncture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't look like he actually made contact with the wall, or maybe a little bit there up on the left front, but it doesn't take a whole lot. We saw about 3 or 4 cars yesterday end up having tire punctures. You don't want to do any rubbing against other drivers because you end up getting that sidewall of the tires sliced.
Well, we're also keeping an eye on Zilic, as we did yesterday, trying to make his way through. Connor Zilic had the original pole, but was knocked back after a problem. Out of the pits comes the 14. But now, Merrill all over Rafa Matos, and this is a repeat of last year's championship. They were equal on race wins and points at the end of last season. Merrill won it on the countback, and here comes Thomas Merrill, side by side, down the Franklin Road. Or the Jefferson Avenue, I should say, but either way, he's going to do it. Yes, nicely done. Thomas Merrill goes into second place ahead of Rafa Matos.
And that all happened back in turn 2. You see how he got a good run coming out of turn 2 right behind Matos, and he was on the power, on the gas. There was no separation in between the cars, and he had a higher rolling speed, was able to get on the outside of him.
How do you work this? I mean, you've got a long race of 60 minutes. The fuel load's going to go down. The tires are obviously going to get worn bit by bit. We don't think they're going to fall apart in any way. Pirelli create a situation where these tires will last, as long as you want them to last. But, it's a natural attrition as you race around these streets. They are street circuits. They are rough. They are abrasive. How do you play it? How much do you push if you're Rafa right now?
Well, right now, you just feel to the car. It tells you what it can take and what you can give it. But for him right now, he's not being able to keep up the pace. Maybe he's a little concerned about the tires. He was one of the drivers yesterday a little concerned about his brakes at the end of the race, Greedy, if you can recall. So maybe he's thinking, I've still got over 50 minutes right now. I'm going to sit back here and let these guys go and run off, because as really a veteran driver, he's probably pretty certain there's going to be a yellow at some point in time and bring the whole pack back together. Now, on that last lap that we just went through, I saw the debris flag out at turn 8.
Okay.
So there's some body parts sitting on the race course there at some point in time. So somebody's had contact either with another car or else maybe on the wall itself. So that might in turn bring itself to being actually a full course caution.
Yeah, and also as a driver, you want to avoid that just in case you do pick up a puncture or go over it. That can easily cause a puncture. Merrill into second place. Now, can these two start to make some inroads? Oh, no! What's happened here to the 60? That's Noaker the third, and there's a little bit of smoke coming out of the back, but is it mechanical or is it rubbing? I think it's rubbing on the rear right, where he's just touched the wall by my looks. You're watching the three-dimensional services group Motor City Showdown, and it is just that at the moment. Brent Cruz, the young 15-year-old, is leading the way just as he did yesterday. We're concentrating on this absolutely fascinating battle for second, third, and fourth. Thomas Annunziata, just 16 years of age, chasing down the two-time champion and the current champion, Thomas Merrill and Rafa Matos. Austin Green just behind. He's pulled away from Dylan McAvern. McAvern, not bad street specialist himself over the years, but that was a good start by the HP Tuners Thomas Merrill car to get ahead of Matos early on. But as you said, Matos probably biding his time a little bit, concerned about brakes and concerned about the longevity of the race.
Well, certainly, as we talked about, we expect there will be a yellow at some point in time, which brings the whole field back together. So do you really want to use up all the brakes and the tires in the car right now? As a veteran driver, you'll sit back and probably play this correctly, but I'm watching some of the speeds right now, Greeny. We're seeing Brent Cruz already in the 113s, a 113.9. It seems like he's got a couple of tenths on the rest of the field. He's out in front. He's got clean air. He's pulling away.
Yeah, in comes the 60 with that damage to the right rear. I'm also keeping an eye on the battle between the two silver hair racing drivers, Connor Zilic and Ben Mayer. Zilic coming through. Zilic in 12th now, Mayer in 11th. Darren Mock, another youngster, in 10th position. Now, let's have a look. The gap, 3.2 seconds as it stands at the moment, so a healthy lead. But Brent Cruz and the Nitro Motorsport team were well aware that there's just, if you were a betting man, you'd have to say there's going to be one, maybe two cautions at least in a street circuit. So 3 seconds means nothing right now.
Well, and as we keep on saying, every series that's been here this weekend, including IndyCars, have multiple yellows in every session. And even in the IndyCar race later this afternoon, they're wondering how many yellows there might be. And they're trying to figure out their tire strategy and the fuel mileage. So if we get green start to finish here, this young man's probably going to continue pulling away. But, over-under, I'm going to take that there's going to be a yellow at some point in time. This turn 6 and 7 complex we're going through right now, as you and I walked it the other day, it's like a ski jump right there as you're trying to transition the car from the right to left, and this drive coming down here to turn 8. Very bumpy, a very short stretch between 8 coming into 9, and 9 brings you on to what we call the pit straight here, and this is where the finish line will be for today's event. And turn 1, super, super bumpy. We've seen a lot of drivers go into the escape road there.
Yeah, the Nitro Motorsports, while they lead the race, they also have problems as well with Noaker in the pits, but it doesn't look as though he's going to be getting out very quickly. They're trying to fix that left rear. Meanwhile, the race goes on. Yeah, we walked the track earlier in the weekend, and a lot of potholes as well. And talking to Mike Skeen and Thomas Merrill, they said, coming into the breaking point here, we saw it yesterday with Evan Slater crashing just there and going right into the barriers. And potholes here and here, right in the middle of the apex of 3. So you've really got to be careful what part of the track you choose to race on.
Well, and those holes you talk about for the manhole covers, they weld the manhole covers themselves, obviously, so they don't come up from the cars themselves, especially the Indy cars creating downforce and suction on those sorts of things. But those manhole covers a lot of times are right in the racing line, so the tires are going over that. But multiple surfaces here, Greeny, as we talked about before. There's some fresh pavement. There's also concrete. There's some ground concrete. Your car is a compromise on getting around this race circuit itself, and you can't set the car up perfectly for every turn, so it's going to be good in some sections and maybe not so good in some others.
And as you can see, Brent Cruz now coming into traffic. He just went past Bruce Raymond there, and now this is where you get real skill for a racing driver. You've got to pick your moments to get past the guys and not have them hold you up, and that's exactly what Raymond is doing. He's getting off the racing line and allowing the leaders go through. Merrill is through, and now here comes Rafa Matos. And Annunziata doing a good job. He's now closed in on Rafa Matos as they go down this back straight. Second is Thomas Merrill. You're seeing him in your shot now, but here comes Rafa and Annunziata into turn 3. Now they'll want to, if they can, get past him soon because they don't want to get stuck at the funnel of 4, and that's exactly what Rafa's thinking. He's thinking like I'm thinking. Come on, let's get round because we don't want to be held up because it's so narrow through this section here. And now they've done a good job, and he's done a good job to get out of the contenders' way here at this very narrow Detroit circuit. Tell you what, Thomas Annunziata yet to win a race in Trans Am. I spoke to him about that, and you know, he got pole position at Nola and Stall coming out of the pits, and it's a real shame for him because he's you know, we've been talking about Cruz, we've been talking about Zilic, and yet Annunziata's been there and thereabouts at every race so far.
You know, and as a young driver, as you're starting to come up for all the drivers trying to make a name for themselves and trying to build a career in motor racing, when you leave a circuit, if you've made a mistake and had an issue, that carries with you all the way to the next race, you know, until you can get another good result underneath your belt. And it never becomes any easier, actually, as you become more of a veteran. It stays with you for a long time. So that's the sort of stuff, and it's really a teaching lesson. It's a moment, if you will, and these guys will learn from that.
The one thing that was pleasing most of our drivers compared to perhaps the Indy and Indy Lights, or Indy Next as they now call it, is that we are racing in the morning. It's a little bit cooler here on the streets of Detroit this morning as we look at Nathan Hearn. He looks like he's got damage to the front of that car. He's hit somebody. That Cube 3 looks a bit Cube 4 at the moment.
Yep, just a small amount of damage. Now here, because it's not a natural terrain circuit, with this street course itself with walls on both sides, as we've seen here yesterday and a bit today, if you just bump the fender against the wall, it really pushes the fender into the tire, and that's what we're seeing a lot of these tire issues with on this racetrack here. The guys are getting the fender rubbing on the tire, which ends up creating a puncture.
Won't surprise you to hear that Connor Zilic, currently in 15th, fastest on track, 1:13.323. That's just 0.3 quicker than Brent Cruz, who's just put his fastest lap in on 1:13.8. Boy, cross-town traffic, as they used to say in the song, and it is just that here in Detroit, as Lostowski from New York for Hawk Performance, trying to go down the main straight, past our commentary music. No! Rafa's out! Rafa Matos is out of the Detroit Showdown. Oh, the Brazilian in the 88 has hit the first corner heavily, just as Skeen had done, and that has put paid to his hopes of a day. Matos starting the day third in the championship. Oh, bitter.
Yeah, major hit.
Major hit.
Not a whole lot of room for error there. As we've seen in turn 1, it's very line dependent. If you go off, if you're trying to pass somebody or you don't get your line correct, you end up hitting a lot of bumps there that actually take you off into the escape road. Unfortunately, he didn't get there. He turned around and ended up hitting the wall. We've even seen that in some IndyCar stuff in this last day.
You just saw Doug Peterson inducted into the Michigan Hall of Fame of Motorsport recently. But Doug, of course, the team owner of Three Dimensional Group. We went to the factory earlier in the weekend, and I know that his 500-plus employees are all tuned in to watch this famous race, which they are sponsoring, and this is not what they wanted to see at all. But unfortunately, Rafa Matos out of this race, and you can see it there. Big hit.
Got a business to run, big and heavy products to ship, and customers who need them now. When you've got the right driver and the right equipment, you can bet on a spectacular result. Bennett understands complex logistics and puts the best team, the most time, and the latest technology into every customer relationship. So you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the race. Let us handle the rest.
Together, we can move anything.
Speed, endurance, desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim: to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
Hey, here I am with Robert Noaker. Robert, unfortunately, you were really fast, but now you're in. What happened?
Yeah, we came out of the last turn and kind of felt the left rear thump down into the track, and that's never a good feeling. So, yeah, it ended up being a third diff link broke. With how rough this track is, it beats the cars up so bad. So, it was ended up actually starting third. We were supposed to be fifth, and made some changes to the car. Didn't quite do what we wanted to do for the beginning. We were kind of holding station there pretty good until that happened.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry about your luck, Robert Noaker. I'm going to move down here, talk to Three Dimensional, because now they have two of their fast cars out. It's up to Austin Green and Doug Peterson, who won our Masters yesterday in the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers. Watch out for this jack here, but I'm going to talk to, well, we might as well talk to Mike Skeen. So I'm going to come around here. Hey, Mike, if you'll talk to us here. So I'm with former TA2 champion Mike Skeen. Mike, I hear that you're out with a clutch, but I'm going to come to you with news on Rafa, your teammate.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I wasn't on his radio, but it sounds like he might have had a little bit of brake problems or something in turn one. Hope he's okay. He might have hurt his foot a little bit, but yeah, it looks like the car's pretty rough.
Yeah, turn one is right down here. It's tough because there's a tire band around it with just one row of tires, but he went in there pretty hot. It looks to me from the monitors like it was brake failure. Has he confirmed that?
I don't know for sure. Sorry.
All right. Well, Scott and Jonathan, I'm going to send it back up to you, but Scott, if you could give your expertise on this longer race, and we saw a lot of brake wear yesterday, so if you could talk about that, I'm going to send it to you, gentlemen.
Good stuff, Ben. Yeah, we'll get a quick word from Scott on that, just about the brakes. We've been talking about it overnight, but it is a concern, yeah?
Yeah, I think anytime you have an issue and you're getting into a situation and you're getting into turns and braking, the bumps and everything like that, these cars are so difficult to drive, and to see if we can interview with Rafa to really understand what's going on with that. But a hard hit, and unfortunately he will not continue, and certainly takes a points hit on the situation too.
Yeah, and while we are under caution, so while we're under caution, and as you can see, they're going through turns 6 and 7 and down the Atwater straight again. I'm going to bring in Tony Pirello, obviously, who runs the series and looks after bringing Trans Am around the country. First and foremost, you must be delighted to be in the home of both Chevrolet and Ford. And a great moment for Trans Am. It goes back to the great days of the Trans Am 100, doesn't it?
Well, to be in the Motor City with American Muscle, that's what this series stands for. It's such a privilege to have Roger Penske and Bud Danker invite us to be here and put on our show. Honestly, we view it as a privilege, and I'm proud of our guys. You're doing a great job. The three-dimensional support and Big Machine Vodka for TA2 especially has just been unprecedented, and it's anytime you come into the Motor City with Camaros and Mustangs and Challengers, you're in the right spot. It's awesome.
And I think it's exciting also for Trans Am as a series that began back in 1966. We've had great champions, we've had great drivers over the years, but to see so many youngsters at the sharp end, Brent Cruz leading the race at the moment, I mean, this is exciting for everybody watching.
Well, it's honestly become a premier destination or development series for young kids. I mean, I think 10 of the starting Daytona 500 drivers have come through our ranks this year, that over the last several years in TA2. And just see, you see a Brent Cruz or Connor Zillage or so many of these young guns that are just putting on a show. Their age is amazing to me, how young they are and how talented they are. But this has been a labor of love. It's just great to see the series bounce back so much.
Well, we've got about one more lap to go on this. But again, obviously we're here in Detroit. We'll also be doing a street circuit, the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers Nashville race. But you must be happy with the schedule too, going all the iconic circuits, Watkins Glen, Sebring, and so many others.
We do. We race across the country in the premier road courses around the U.S., but it's a different type of event for us when we share it with IndyCar like we do here in Nashville. But This is, it's special to be part of it. It's good that Trans Am has so much history as part of this event years ago, and to see the rebirth of Trans Am in a sense, it's really special to be here. But while I'm on here, I got to give a special shout out to Scott Borchetta. We're thinking about you. Keep getting better, my friend, and we'll see you back at the track soon. Hopefully, we'll see you for sure when we get to Nashville. But with that, I'll turn it back over to you guys. Thank you for all you do. The fans out there, this is a special weekend for Trans Am for sure.
Tony Perella, obviously the man who runs Perella Holdings and both SBRA, Trans Am, FR and F4. The circus continues here at Motor City, and my thanks to him coming in and, yes, giving his thoughts on what is a very special event for Trans Am, lest we forget. Big part of our history here. And yes, Scott Borchetta, and I'm sure Scott hasn't missed this fantastic Corvette. He drives a historic Corvette in SBRA, but he won't have missed the Big Machine logo on that Corvette C8 that's pacing us around this circuit under caution. And Scott, to turn to another Scott, let's get back down to the business end of this race. We are under caution. We've been under caution now. Tell me how the car changes when you slow it down like this, and what you've got to be ready for at the restart.
Well, number one, driver being ready, but we've seen that now with Brent Cruz. As soon as the green comes out, he reminds me of some of the greatest drivers in any series in the world. He's able to get that first lap and a half extension because he can drive the car at 10/10ths and make that leap in front of the guys that's actually in second. So we can see if he can do that again here now. And how's the tires, how's the brakes? We're going to find that out within the first 3 laps for all the competitors, if they can keep up the pace or if the car has changed a little bit. Fuel's burning off, tires are wearing. What do you have now? We'll find out shortly.
Let's head down to Ben Sissel for the latest in the pit lane.
Yeah, here I'm with Silver Hair Racing. We've got Maurice Hall, Gil Martin. Maurice, Connor coming through the field from the back. I think he's currently in 14th. What's he saying on the radio?
He's going through traffic, and he set the fastest lap. And, of course, it's always about brakes on a street course. You know, when you go fast, you use a lot of brake.
Yeah, when you go fast, you use a lot of brakes. Some expert wisdom from Maurice. Back to you, gentlemen.
All right, so Maurice Hall, who runs both those youngsters, Ben Mayer and Connor Zilic, and as you heard there, Connor Zilic. Zilic had a penalty, a technical disqualification, and loss of grid position. That's why he started last. And so that's why, again, like yesterday, we're watching him come through. He's in 14th at the moment. Boy, he's had some pressure this weekend.
You know, and it's hard to get through on a street circuit, especially when it's so narrow, and they have to use up tires and use up brakes to actually go forward. Then you have nothing left when it comes time to go fast at the end.
Scott, the pace car's gone, but we're not racing. Tell us why. Because we're going all the way to the
we got the all the way down. Pace car's gone. The pace car comes in for us. And then I'll just watch the leaders come up slowly.
Here we go. See, watch the guy on the
starters on the right-hand side of your screen. Once the leader, Brent Cruz, enters into the zone, which is the 2 cones on the right-hand side, he can accelerate any time in there, and now he's off.
Away we go then, and everybody jostling for position, but Brent Cruz pulls away. Merrill in second place. Annunziata now picks up third place because of the fact that Matos has disappeared. Austin Green is side by side with Annunziata. McAvern's there.
Yeah, saw a lot of pushing and shoving going on there.
Nathan Hearn losing out to Misha Goikberg. Very hard on him, Nathan Hearn. And Hearn goes down the runoff and has to now think about how he's going to get back on. Well, he's going to try to find his way. He's not going to find his way through there. That may be game over for him as he goes off at turn 4. Through goes Thad Moffitt. Thad Moffitt in the 43. His first ever street race. He's got Justin Marks behind him.
Impressive how Brent Cruz has great power down, not only out of the turns, but especially on those start and restart as we saw. He gets such a good leap, such a good jump there. He gets that spread between himself and the second place car. Very important.
And here comes Connor Zilic. He's coming places every lap here. Bit of debris on circuit there. And now we're getting down to the halfway point of this race. Watch that number 7, all black, the blue Chevrolet. And, of course, Zilic representing Chevrolet in that car here at the home, right around the streets of Detroit and, of course, around GM's headquarters. So they'll be watching him very closely indeed as Chevy once again take on Mustang here and Ford at Detroit's streets.
Boy, the more laps we run here, you see more drivers starting to protect that inside line, coming from 2 all the way down to 3. They're all the way over to the wall now, going down that backstretch.
I can confirm that Nathan Hearn, who you saw sort of going off the runoff run, and he kind of went too far to the point where he couldn't get into a turnaround situation. So he's parked it up there, and that's the game over for the Australians. So if you're tuning in early morning in Australia, sadly, Nathan Hearn, your champion, is out. Cruz, Merrill, and Enciata and Green. That's how it stands at the moment. And all eyes on Austin Green, the young 21-year-old son of David Green, an ex-Xfinity champion, and really making a name for himself. I spoke to Austin at the beginning of last season, and he really didn't start racing. You know, we talk about some of these youngsters starting at 3 years of age going karting. Well, Austin Green did not start his career until much, much later, so he's doing a heck of a job given the amount of time he's been racing.
And, you know, one day that I started karting, I was 9 years of age. I mean, today they start them at 5, as you mentioned. They have these little midgets at 3 when they're going around circles. So, I mean, they get a feel for that. It's part of the growing up, I guess, if you will. So, but, you know, sometimes when drivers enter a little bit late, they still go through that process very quickly because they're a little bit more mature and they be able to understand everything that's going on around them and understand how to set the car up. So I think starting a little bit late, if you've got the ability, the talent, Greenie, you're going to get there. It doesn't matter if you start at 6 or if you start at 10.
Absolutely not. Jim Gallagher under pressure. Josh Sargent putting pressure on in the 77, the Liqui Moly car. But Sargent still pushing away, and Doug Peterson just ahead of him. There is Doug Peterson. Ty Young had a problem yesterday, and the 22 has got a problem today as well. Into the pits he comes. And it looks fairly terminal because they're not working on that car. In fact, well, no, they're putting the hood back on, so maybe they'll get him back out. Let's hope they do. Down the Atwater straight they come then. 29 minutes to go. Yeah, you know, Brent Cruz, for those in road racing and Trans Am, you may be new to that name, but if you talk to the dirt guys, they'll tell you that he was given a dispensation to race in the Chili Bowl at just 13 years of age. So they're well aware of him when it comes to short ovals, of what Brent Cruz can do and has been doing for almost a couple of years now.
You know, when you think about 13 years of age, I think back to that. I was just still starting in karts, you know, and now you're talking about getting to the Chili Bowl, guys that have been there for years and so experienced, and guys that are in their 20s and 30s. I mean, you got guys that are going back there like Tony Stewart running the Chili Bowl. So, I mean, you think about the disparity there. I mean, super impressive.
I couldn't even do, I couldn't do mathematics, and that was half the problem. When I was 13 years old, I couldn't do joined-up writing, never mind racing car. So then, Cruz, Merrill, and Enciata, Green, and McAvern. That's your top 5. We've been watching this battle between Peterson, Gallagher, Sargent, and Sheehan just behind, and we're continuing to watch that as they go through turn 5 and 6 and onto the back straight. But there's battles all around. Here's Darren Mock, and Zilich is through on him. So Zilich continues his march. 1:13.3, his fastest lap for Silverhair. He's taking Ben Mayer with him, but now up to 9th position. And what a way to finish the weekend if he can keep this up. But now he's got Adrian Lostowski in front of him as they dive through turn 1 and up the hill to 2. Let's see how quick the Zilich car, the Chevrolet of Zilich, is as we head down Jefferson Avenue.
Looking for the cars in front to punch a hole in the air for you so you can get that draft. But important, like we said before, you got to get that run off of turn 2 so you're very close to the cars in front so you can take advantage of any type of draft you can get.
Here we go. Zilich, nicely done, and that was, well, he made that pass even before the corner, so it wasn't just under braking. That was a little bit of slipstreaming. Mock now thinking of doing the same thing, but that's a nice move. Ben Mayer and that green and black just behind him, so the Silverhair boys are chasing the hair quite literally at the moment because both of them are up there, and Ben Mayer, who got a top 10 yesterday for Chevrolet, and Silverhair looking to do the same again today. And Ben Mayer, one to watch for the future, just 14 years of age, and teammate to Zilich, who's 16 now. Zilich now up to 7th. He's got past Lostowski and Darren Mock in the 51. Great story from Darren Mock. He suffers from the research that the EV search that he's representing as his sponsorship, so a really good cause for him to be part of. And we took a closer look at his car earlier in the weekend, the 51. He's got some special material to stay cool. Now, what's happened here to Dylan McAvern? I can tell you, McAvern, someone. Well, they're all over the car. I'm not quite sure what happened to him, but we'll find out. 26 minutes to go, and it's Cruz, Merrill, and Annunziata. Mock, Mayer all over the back of him at 3. Oh, he thought about a little nudge there on the exit at 3, but held it all together. Lost a little bit of ground there in that lunge. Just behind him, Thad Moffitt. Oh, you can see the car starting to slide around a little bit more now. And action everywhere throughout this 30-car field. And this is the second race of the weekend. Over 200 points up for grabs at this very important race weekend that could be pivotal to the overall championship. Next up, we head to Mid-Ohio, Road America, Watkins Glen to come, and we finish off the season at COTA. So a long way to go yet.
Long way to go, but what I'm watching difference today from yesterday is a lot of guys are a lot more controlled. Changes on their race cars for overnight, shocks and springs. Cars are much more controllable, drivable, and it's creating a better race and actually less opportunity for yellow.
Look at Zilic's craft here. He's behind Misha Goikberg, and you know and I know that he is a master. Zilic looking to do and get another scalp, but now Annunziata under pressure from Austin Green. Now here's that battle. Zilic, can he get another scalp? And he does. He's got past Misha. Misha can do nothing about it. And the Canadian, with bags of experience in IMSA and Trans Am, given a little lesson in overtaking there by Connor Zilic, but he won't slow down Misha if I know him well. Down towards the Detroit Port Authority. There's the turn and there's the building to your right. And that's as close to the river, the Detroit River, as we come, and as close as we want to come.
and that pass that we saw is textbook perfect. Yeah. Get up, present yourself for the guy beside you. Don't get in a confrontation, start to bang wheels and bang fenders, because then it takes something out of your car. You might end up getting with a tire going down. Perfect textbook pass right there.
Well, Austin Green's got the hurry up. I think he's now aware that he's flying the flag for Three Dimensional Services Group, because with Matos out and Skeen out, it's up to him now to do something and get a decent result. Matos got on the podium yesterday, but there's a good chance of a podium here today. And Annunziata, though, has other ideas, but you can see the gap to these two and then Merrill. Here comes the yellow peril of the 89, side by side. Has he got him? I think so. No, Annunziata says, no, you won't, my friend, and holds him off nicely. Good racing, fair? I think so. Annunziata lives to fight another day, and once again, Austin Green will build his way. Maybe the next opportunity could be at 8, or 1, or another lunge at 3. You can see the car starting to slide around now with 23 minutes to go. It's starting to get nip and tuck in terms of everybody really struggling to get the grip they want.
Well, and remember, the fuel load is going down, cars getting lighter. You're trying to be a little bit more aggressive with the throttle, and it doesn't take much because there's no traction control in these things with the high horsepower you have. Get on the throttle just a little bit too much, and Greedy, when you're sitting in the car, you go over a bump, your foot hits the throttle sometimes, and you turn around, you get more throttle than you want. So there's not much you can do with it with a bumpy circuit like this.
You know, last night we talked and we thought that maybe the confidence that people were getting from track time here at Detroit might lead to more lunges, more aggressive racing, but actually this has been cleaner than yesterday.
Well, I think you also, as a driver, when you go to a new circuit and you go back and look at what happened at race 1, especially when you do a doubleheader like you did this weekend, you know, it doesn't take much to be able to have a full course yellow come out and take you out of the event. So I think a lot of guys learned from that yesterday. And you go back and they got a little bit,
loses out.
Bump and run.
Bump and run, exactly that. Green goes through. Was that fair?
Well, you know something, I think paybacks are, could be today, could be next week.
Yeah. Now, let's see if Green can pull away now, or will Annunziata try to come back at him. But that was a good move by the Three Dimensional Services Group, number 89, as he goes up one spot. I have to say, story of the day has to be Connor Zilic yet again. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's just up to 5th place, having started at the back for an infringement. And he was due to start on the front row with his mate Brent Cruz. And I say mate because they came together yesterday, and Cruz basically pushed him out of the way to get the lead, and he hit the tyres. It was deemed as fair, so that's all good. But Zilic was not happy, and nor were the Silver Hair boys. And so, fair enough, they're desperate to do well here on the streets of Detroit. This has been a tantalizing battle throughout most of this race here, the 1 hour Motor City Showdown here in Detroit City. Beautiful weekend so far. It's been perfect weather, and we've had some great racing, and it continues here. Misha Goikberg Adrian Lostowski, wheel to wheel, coming into 3. We're on board with Adrian in the Hawk Performance car. You see how bumpy it is through the apex there and how tight it is. Scott, this is really tough. You've done a street circuit back in the 90s here at Detroit. Was it this narrow?
And this is so narrow. He's coming down narrow section here, and as you come through this section now, this left-hander enters up into the tight 6 and 7. Now watch the bump when you go over here. You want to get on the gas, and there's such a lurch that goes through there. We just saw the car land coming through here to 8. A lot of people have hit the wall. This run down here looks smooth going down to 8 itself, but it really is not. Very bumpy. 8 we're in right now and headed up towards 9. That's the right-hander that leads on to the finish straightaway. The pit's over on your right-hand side. But you can really tell there's no smooth part here at all, Greeny. For these drivers, you're getting bounced around all day long. And as I mentioned a second ago, just keeping your foot on the pedals and being smooth with the pedals becomes an issue around this circuit.
Yeah, I would have thought it's very easy to both miss a gear or miss a pedal or a brake, throttle or brake, because you're literally bouncing around. You can see it when you're on board with the Adrian Lostowski here, and even here on the straight, you're going rippling through the street turns over and under the bridges. It just ripples. But this is Lostowski's best opportunity. He looks to the outside on Goikberg. Goikberg closes the door, and that's good driving by both of them, but that's good driving by the Canadian. For BC Cars, based in Canada, they prepare Trans Am chassis and cars for the likes of Misha and many others, and it's been a successful few years in Trans Am for Misha. And same for Adrian Lostowski, runner-up in the production version of SGT in Trans Am a few years ago, then turned to TA and TA2, and he's not looked back since. A great run by Adrian Lostowski in the last year or so.
You watch these two cars, they're very evenly matched as far as being able to put power down in the grip level. I'm watching both of them. There doesn't seem to be a huge advantage to one or the other. But Adrian right now, there we go, got one around.
Well, luckily Gallagher has... This is at turn 4, the very narrow funnel that is turn 4. There's room to get through, but he's under power. That's good news. Green flag waves. Jim Gallagher. Now he's online, though. That's the trouble. He needs to get off the race line and get onto that straight as soon as he can, and he's done just that.
Yeah, it looks like there is a little bit of damage maybe to the right rear of that car. You can see the body's just a little bit of skew on it, so we'll see if he can... You'll get a driver now. As a driver, you're starting to feel whether the car is going to track straight, or right now will he end up coming in the pit lane. He's got a couple of turns to decide.
Meanwhile, Lostowski back into 3 again, and they still go to battle here, the Canadian and the American. It's been a good battle this. Just want to remind you, Brent Cruz started the day with a 12-point lead over Thomas Merrill. Matos was 3rd in the championship. Now he'll score nothing out of this race. Zilic was 4th, and still Zilic continues to be the story of the day. He's at 5th place now in this race, having started at the back. The top Chevy in this race with Green in 3rd position. So the 2 top Chevys, Green and Zilic. Oh, no! Our champion is in the wall at 9. That's the first crash I've seen at 9, and he's also got damage to the roof. I wonder what's happened to that car. But either way, Merrill has dropped right back, and he's into the clutches of this battle we've been watching. Merrill with a lot of damage to that HP Tuners number 26.
And drivers are saying that turn 9 is probably one of the most difficult turns to get around just because of where the bumps are on the racing line itself. It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
The back end's coming around.
Yeah, completely came around.
So what happened there is you're trying to carry the speed into the turn. You can see the roof buckle right there. That's a lot of damage on that car. But the balance of the car wasn't there. He had not enough weight on the rear of the car, which caused it to come around.
Well, this is getting very interesting now because Austin Green in that Chevrolet has moved up to 2nd place for Three-Dimensional Services Group, and giving them a little bit of hope that their race could be a special one for Austin Green. He's had a 2nd place already this season, but not a win, and this is going to be a big day, but he's got a lot of catching up to do. The gap 6 seconds between himself and Brent Cruz as we continue to watch Lostowski and Michko Goikberg go through their paces at very high speed.
But watching the first 2 guys, as you're talking about, Brent Cruz and Austin Green, they're running the same lap time now, Green. Just they've been running lap time evenly whenever they're in clean air. Last time it was 1:13 even. That last time around, Cruz got hung up in traffic a little bit. He was at a 1:15 and Austin Green at a 1:13. So let's see if he can actually start to cut down in 17 minutes that we have left here.
Let me ask you, as a racing driver, when you're in this sort of position where you're lap after lap, nose to tail like this, are you trying to overtake or are you trying to force the guy into a mistake?
Well, a little bit of both. It depends on what you need. You look to see where your car is a little bit more stronger than versus the other guy. Here we go, right around.
No, both Abate and Raymond
couple of pirouettes
around.
there.
Yeah, a little pirouette there. Well, unfortunately, the girl from Las Vegas kind of an innocent bystander as the 54 got turned around, but that was Bruce Raymond was an accident waiting to happen. We could see that from a long way back. He got out of control, and unfortunately there Abate, she's still going.
Yeah, and the same thing as we just saw previously, not enough weight on the back of the car, the axle. You don't have the car balanced, braking a little earlier, getting on the gas a little earlier, and start to get the weight balance front to rear even. The back end of the car didn't have enough weight on it. It came around really easy on turn-in.
Good to see Matt Perron out there in the 14. He had an issue earlier in the race. And now Abate, she's still under speed, so that's good news, but already this battle, and this could be where Misha tries to take advantage of these cars by threading his way through, and he's done just that. Gives himself a little bit of breathing space, but both of them handily through, and that's not easy to do, get through two cars like that on this very narrow circuit. But their battle is back, and they are again nose to tail through turn 1. Meanwhile, at the front, you're not missing anything. Brent Cruz continues. The gap, though, has come down. It's 5.3 seconds. So Austin Green is reeling him in bit by bit. There's 15 minutes to go. We could be in for a grandstand finish to this one, Scott.
Yeah, we'll watch the times to see if he starts to take off a couple of tenths a lap. But you know what's interesting now, Greeny, is this is the longest section of green flag racing that we've had between the two races.
Yep.
So right now, drivers are starting to push a little harder, maybe get a little tired, make some mistakes. Tires are going away. Very close, and the brake pedals maybe starting to get a little bit long as you start to overheat the brakes a little bit. You have to take that into account as a driver. As the car changes, you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, then mistakes happen.
Now listen, my mum's watching. What do you mean when you say the brake's going to be a little bit long? I know what you mean. It basically your foot's going further to the front, right?
Absolutely, and you're putting your foot on the pedal, and maybe you're not getting as much braking efficiency as you did the previous lap around, and the pedal travels longer. So instead of maybe traveling just about an inch, it starts to travel about an inch and a half, and that throws your timing off as a driver, getting into the turn, turning, and getting through the car and putting the power down on the exit.
This is ironic because Lostowski is doing exactly what Misha Goikberg has done over the years to many other drivers, which is put the hurt, go right behind him, almost nudging him along to try to force him into a mistake. They come out of 2 now, and this is as good an opportunity as Lostowski's had to really get some slipstream, and maybe back round goes Perron again in the 14, and that's the second time he's been around today at turn 2. He's backwards at the moment, and now he's out of sight. He's going to be blind coming in there. Here comes Lostowski. He's not going to do it though, is he? Great racing though so far.
Really is, and we talked a second ago about the longest running green that we've had between yesterday and today. Mistakes are happening.
Yep, but they're keeping it tidy, and the race is continuing, which is good news for the fans us watching at home. And I hope you're enjoying it on MAV TV Live. And we are delighted to have our new broadcast partner giving us access to a huge audience of motor racing fans as Perron. Well, he's got plenty of room to turn it around now and plenty of time to do it. Oh, here comes the leader. Be careful. So here comes first. Here comes... Oh, that's not second. I'll just touch the wall there for a moment while avoiding the number 14. But Perron trying desperately to get round and get out the way. This is scary for a racing driver.
Yeah, sometimes it's best just to turn around as he was pointed opposite direction, just to turn the wheel and put pedal down and spin the car around so you can actually have an opportunity to do a 180.
Now, if he stalled it, we could get another safety car if he can't get it going again.
But he did a very smart thing because he reversed out of the danger zone within the turn. There we go.
So we are under caution. Unfortunately, the Venture General Contracting number 14 of Matt Perron has stalled it, tried to get it turned around. He had an accident or an incident at 2 and got away from that, but then found himself backwards as he tried to turn it around, and unfortunately we're now under full course yellow.
Yeah, so as a lot of times, there he goes. So now, as a driver, Greeny, the advantage for Cruz is gone.
So he's got it going, but sadly, we are under caution. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. So under caution here, we've had some great battles, and boy, catching our breath here, but you've missed nothing. Brent Cruz at the front, Austin Green, and now this really does give Austin Green at the restart a chance to win this race, Scott.
And I was watching, and actually it was interesting. Austin Green was starting to go a couple tenths a lap faster than Cruz. So now, is his car maybe a little bit better? Maybe the brakes are better, tires are better, a little wind's picked up as we can see right there. I'm waiting to see this restart and to see the most initial part power down, and that run to turn 3. Will they get through there cleanly?
I don't know, but let's go down to the pit lane. Ben Sissel has been beavering away. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I'm here with Dylan McIvern with M1 Race Cars. Dylan running 5th, but moving up. The podium in sight, it's got to be heartbreaking to go out with a mechanical.
Yeah, it's a real shame for the SLR guys. They put together an awesome car as usual. It seemed like we had long run pace. The short sprints, we weren't quite as good. But, you know, we were banking on having the long green flag, and the car was starting to come to me a little bit there. I certainly think we had the podium in sight if we could have stayed out there. Real unfortunate. You know, it's part of racing to have mechanical failures, but I feel for the guys. They worked so hard this weekend.
Now, usually it's the power steering, but you said it might have been the steering rack?
Yeah, so it's something in the rack itself. You know, normally if you lose power steering, you can keep rolling, but I lost steering almost completely, and I was pretty much going straight off in every turn. So, you know, just for safety, we did have to bring the car in, unfortunately.
Nice. Well, I was really hoping to see something from Dylan McIvern, because if you followed him in the past, he's kind of a chess player, racer, endurance mindset. And if he's within sight with 10 laps to go, that seems to be when he hits another gear and is usually in contention for the paddocks or for the podium. So, Dylan, I'm sorry about your luck, man. Better luck next time. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, Dylan McIvern, a perennial top scorer when it comes to sports car racing and Trans Am, and he's been around this scene for quite some time, and shame to see him out of the car. Jim Gallagher in the number 16 also pitting. So we've had quite an attrition rate, although we haven't had any massive smashes per se. You just saw that turnaround from Matt Perron, Michelle Abati coming in the Lucas Oil Ghost machine number 30. And we'll be back out there again. Ty Young already parked up. So quite a lot of cars. But now you see it here. Annunziata and Green and Connor Zilic in this hunt for the victory. Now, if Connor Zilic could get a podium out of this, we saw Thomas Annunziata at NOLA after stalling from pole. He came back to 5th place, did Thomas. I wonder if Zilic could do the same. We're about to find out. We're under caution here, and once again, Brent Cruz leads the race here in Detroit, looking for his 6th Trans Am win and his 3rd street course win. But with the restart about to happen, there are plans by the likes of Austin Green in 2nd place, the 20-year-old looking for a result. Likewise, the 16-year-old Thomas Annunziata in 3rd. And just behind them, believe it or not, you won't believe this, Connor Zilic, who started at the back and is now looking to try to get on the podium.
And that's got to be the most impressive thing you've seen. You know, not as many yellows as yesterday, so he's done that on pure speed and driving ability and taking care of his car and weaving through traffic, so that's very helpful. Yes, these yellows are certainly helping him, but he's got to feel very good about himself, even if he doesn't even move up any more spots. But what I'm going to be watching for right now is power down, because the most important thing going down this long straightaway on this restart, and we'll see if Brent Cruz has enough tires left on the car to be able to get a good launch on this restart, and if Austin Green maybe can run with him. And I'm going to be especially watching the hairpin coming down into turn 3, which will be the first turn they'll arrive at after this restart.
So Matt Perron comes in after getting it turned around, but obviously he's out of contention and has decided to give up the Ghost. Now, this is interesting. The Gel Blaster 75, that's Ben Mayer, the young 14-year-old, also silver hair, coming in. So I don't know what's happened to him, but it's going to be interesting. It must be hard, I think, sort of weighing up your concentration under caution, because you've got the adrenaline flowing and you're kind of re-going through your plan. Do you want to talk to the engineer, or do you like to keep to yourself?
There's nothing really that the pits can do for you, the engineer can do for you right now as a driver. You know what you've got as far as a car is concerned. Maybe they're getting on the radio and calming some of these young drivers down. I'm not really sure you need to calm down Brent Cruz, because, you know, as we talked to him, and even yesterday, it seems like you're talking to a 25-year-old, as we mentioned before. So this is the most exciting thing. You know, we're going to have probably just under 7 minutes when we go back to green, probably even 6 minutes. We might be down to about a green-white checkered here. So it's going to be all out, flat out. and there might be a little bumping and shoving going on, I suspect, Greeny.
I couldn't agree more. We're going to have a sprint race of just over 5 minutes by my estimations, and as you can see, keep an eye on that Corvette and those flashing lights. Once they go out, that tells us that we are about to go racing, and they'll go out on the lead-in to turn 8. So we'll see as they get onto this straight in a moment whether we are ready to go racing again. The yellow flag still being displayed. There's Thad Moffitt, and Thad doing his first ever street circuit, and he said it was a bit of an eye-opener for him. Used to the ovals and dirt tracks, and coming into Trans Am. Great to have a member of the Petty family here, that all-famous family. We've got Andretti's that race in the series. We've got the Mox, and we've got Green, of course, son of David Green. So we've got some pedigree in terms of racing history, that's for sure.
Go ahead. 6 minutes for me.
Brent Cruz, Green, and Nunziata. That's your top 3. Zilich 4th. Goikberg in 5th. Don't count out him and Lostowski. They were in a great battle. Jade Buford. Let's put a shout out for Jade Buford in Scott Borchetta's number 48 car. Currently in 7th position, and that is really good news. And also for Thad Moffitt, 8th is probably the best finish he's ever had. He got a bunch of 12th places at the start of the season, but if he finishes here just ahead of Justin Marks, this will be his best result of the year. Thomas Merrill is still circulating, but down in 13th position. And that is important to remember, because Merrill will score points when Matos isn't scoring points. And there you see it for yourself, the top 15. Merrill down in 13th, Peterson in 14th. He is leading the Masters Championship. Sheehan, Tommy in 15th position.
And I just heard from race control that the pace lights are going to go out this time, so we'll end up seeing a restart this time by, and there will be some firing action coming up to turn 3, Greeny.
Yeah, there will be, absolutely, and that is why we get the restart. What will happen is the Corvette will turn its lights out, give the control of the race to Brent Cruz, but it won't be like traditional motorsport where you go across the finish line and accelerate away. No. The David Hoots, the race director, and the organizers here have decided that it's much safer to use Jefferson Avenue and that long straight, there go the lights, that long straight to get us restarted. No point in restarting on the start finish, because you'll all end up with a concertina into the first corner. So we will wait. We will get into single file. Everybody knows the rules. We had several drivers meeting, one in a church, I may add. But now you see the safety car come off. Now the race is under Brent's control. Now we're on that front straight, and now we're going to that turn 1. We've got 2 corners to go before we get onto that back straight, and then look for that zone and look for the green flag to wave. And that's what Austin Green is waiting for, and Thomas Annunziata.
And look how aggressive they are warming up their tires. They know this is a shootout. This will be a 1 or 2 lap shootout to the end, and they know that the win for this race will probably end up happening on this restart. So important.
Here we go. Into turn 2 and out of turn 2. Now, everybody line astern and getting ready for this restart. Now, so far this weekend, Brent Cruz has been absolutely sensational. Can he continue with that run, I wonder? I wouldn't bet against it. Here we go, folks. Detroit City, it's a showdown here. The three-dimensional services group, Motor City Showdown. Who's going to win it? Watch for the green flag. There it is. Away goes Cruz, and so too the top 3.
Oh, Green's got us. He's having a look. Not close enough, I don't think.
Nope. And we'll also keep an eye on Zilich on the outside at the moment, and already challenging for third. Oh, no! Oh, no, they've all gone around. Oh, what drama. The top 4 in the race here in Motor City have just gone haywire. And amazingly, Thomas Annunziata, the man I was talking about not winning a race, has got a chance to do it with 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. Unbelievable.
We said it was going to happen in turn 3.
And he's got damage to the car, too. And Jade Buford is in 2nd place. Scott Borchetta is getting out of his bed, and he's going to come and be cheering this on. Zilich is up to 2nd. Zilich is up to 2nd place from the back in the Chevrolet. What a turnaround of fortunes. Well, you said it's all going to happen in turn 3, and that's exactly what it happened. The race is going to be won there. Wow. Unbelievable drama here in Motown. Well, there's a famous Motown. More contact. Yeah, that's Mock with contact. Barry Bowes getting side by side with Darren Mock as they exit 2. Nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. Dancing in the streets, as Marvin Gaye once said here in Motown, and that's exactly what we've been doing. How can Mock see?
Yeah.
That is very scary. Annunziata, Zilic, and Buford. I would never have called that one, but that's how it stands. Moffitt in fourth. He could get a podium. What a race. What a day. Justin Marks moving up through as well. All sorts of drama. Doug Peterson comes to a standstill at 4. Leading the Masters.
He had a little help with that one, though.
He's still under pressure. He's still under power, excuse me. Gets it going. And it's going to be white flag. Zilic's car throwing bodywork off the car in the number 7. And Zilic could yet win this race, but Annunziata yet to win this season. Looking for a win. Damage. The white flag waves. Annunziata's got 1.7 miles to go. Can he do it? What a day. He's raced Miatas, he's raced go-karts, now he's got a chance to race this famous Detroit City circuit and take Nitro Motorsports in the Ford Mustang to their second victory of the weekend. What a weekend it's going to turn out. Remember, he and Brent Cruz, teammates, but it's been Brent who's been having all the headlines so far. Here comes Zilic. He's closing in on him. It's tantalizingly close. He's got to get it all right,
A little bit of slide there. You have to make sure you make no mistakes. Don't look in the mirror. Just look forward. Hit your marks. Don't worry about the car behind you. If you're doing your maximum, going as fast as you can, the guy behind you is not going to pass. Look forward, not in the mirror.
Well, another Motown song. Ain't no mountain high enough, and there isn't one for this man from California. Thomas Annunziata on his way to victory. Just 2 corners to go. Debris and bodywork everywhere, but it doesn't matter. Zilic closing in the 7. But is there going to be time? He's going to make one lunge. Oh, Zilic is going for the line. He's going to try everything in his pocket, but it's going to be Annunziata. What a finish here at Detroit. There's the checkered flag. It had everything. What a race. And the number 90, nerd-sponsored Nitro Motorsport, Thomas Annunziata, wins his first race in Trans Am ahead of Connor Zilic and, of all people, Jade Buford.
And Thad Moffitt in 4th.
Zilic waving out of his driver's seat at Annunziata in congratulations. He knows what it means to that youngster. They're all good friends, these young guns. But what a day, what a moment for him. And there's his team, Silverhair Racing, Morris Hull. And it's been what was a disappointing weekend with Zilic going out yesterday. They thought it was, they were really kind of cheesed off yesterday. But now it's all celebration. Here's the moment. Yeah, and I wouldn't blame anybody
push
for
and a
that.
tag. Well, actually, you know what happened? It was a chain reaction
Yeah.
because it was the 4th and the 2nd, the 2nd and 3rd, and then you saw Cruz just get tagged in that corner just at the
But
last
he was already
minute.
sideways too. And
I think he got tagged. It
Okay.
looked like he was in the middle of the turn, right by the apex in the first
we
apex.
go.
You watch this here. See
Green gets tagged by
he
Annunziata.
gets tagged, and then he pushes, and then exactly. And then it's a chain reaction all the way through, which in turn takes out Cruz.
Well, you know what my next question is? Annunziata wins the race. Does he get in trouble for causing that?
Oh, they call that a racing accident, or is that like, oh, I can push a few of these guys? That's sort of like bowling.
Well, it's been entertainment all the way, and I tell you what, Motown is living the dream because there's been a fair few races around the streets of Detroit, but that was right up there.
Oh, that was amazing. That finish and actually coming to turn 9, 8 through 9, and getting that almost looking like it was going to switch positions there. And Zilic doing a great job. I mean, this was the most exciting Trans Am race in a long time. Terrific.
And how about this for Jade Buford on the podium as a replacement driver for Scott Borchetta? There's the moment for Thomas. Ah, what a great moment. You can see, you don't have to see his face to know what it means. The body language says it all. Oh, I love to see scenes like that. Big moment. A lot of work, hard work. You don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. We do. We see them working throughout the night and getting the cars right, getting them checked, getting them through scrutineering. And it's so hard. And hats off to him because he has been working so hard for this victory. He really deserved victory at NOLA. He should have had victory at NOLA. And there he is. Fresh face. Look at that. Not even a sweat bead.
You know, we were talking about before, when you make a mistake, it carries with you for so long. And these guys, friends as they are, you know, congratulations to both sides. But if you make a mistake at NOLA, you come back and have this opportunity, it rights everything for you.
This championship has been going since 1966. But there is no question you are watching a new era for Trans Am as these youngsters are ruling the roost here on their way. You will see them on your television screens, on MAV TV, and around the world over the next few years. You're watching the future of American motorsport right here, and Thomas Annunziata has stepped up to take victory. And in a moment, we'll hear from Ben Sissel and our winner. Wow, what a win then for Thomas Annunziata. He's out of the car and he's ready to talk to Ben Sissel.
Here with the Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series 2 absolutely fantastic Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix races with the TA2 Series. Thomas Annunziata finished fourth yesterday, right behind Thomas Merrill. I knew you had speed all weekend. This has got to feel amazing.
It feels so cool. I've only had the 5 races under my belt in the TA2 Series, and we've been making progress, and we're getting closer and closer. We've been having podiums, a pole position, and finally a win. This is a redemption from NOLA.
Nice redemption for NOLA, where you got pole position and then didn't start. Anybody you want to thank for this?
My whole team, Brian Kozlowski, Cody, Robert, all of them worked so hard to get these cars as fast as they are, and they believed in me. And I can't believe this. My sponsors, Crispy Pizza, Nerd Focus, Towson Watch Company, AI Media, and SC Arms, they've been with me since day one. I can't believe it.
Nice. Thomas Annunziata. And I got to point out, the best eyebrows in motorsports. Get close to that camera there. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I always have to give him grief for that. Coming from last place. Did you hear me there? Coming from last place to second. Putting it right next to him here on the last corner, Connor. I know you'd like to be in the top step, but this has got to feel absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet way to end our weekend here. We've just been struck with bad luck over and over again, and the first race we had the fastest car and didn't win, and we had the fastest car again and didn't win again. So as good as it feels to come from the back and finish second here, that win would have been that much sweeter. So we're going to go on to the next race with all this momentum we got. We got the fastest cars, the best crew around me. I love driving Chevrolets, and especially at the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. So just thankful to be in this position and thankful for the team around me, the opportunity they've given me. Maurice and Laura Hull, they do so much for me as a driver and a person. So just so thankful for Jeff, Gil, Ryan, everybody under the team, Kevin, Avery. They all work their tails off to try and give me this opportunity. So they were here slaving away for hours last night to get this thing fixed up after I put it in the wall. So to finish the weekend on the podium is amazing.
Nice. Good job there, Connor Zilic. Way to go. Hey, somebody needs to get in the middle of that. Somebody needs to get in the middle of that. Hey, Jeff Holly, get over here, man. That's got to feel so good. Jeff Holly, crew chief, worked so hard on Connor Zilic's car. You guys were here late into the night. You were starting in last, but Jeff told me before the race, he goes, watch us get on the podium, and here you are.
Yeah, it's pretty good. First off, I'd like to thank Maurice and Laura Hull. They put together a really good program. We got the best guys. We got the best cars. We continue just to do the right thing, so we're really excited.
Nice. Nice job. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got to come over here. Where is Jade Buford? Over here. So, at the last street race we did, the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, Scott Borchetta was third place in the number 48. This time, Jade Buford, third place here at the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Dude, you got to smile more. This has got to feel good.
Yeah, and we're so happy. It's been a tough weekend, tough grind. We've had some gremlins to fight through, but we had a great long-run car, and we just kind of persevered and tried to play it smart. And the seas parted for us there at the end, for us to be able to make a move and capture a P3. Scott, hope you enjoyed watching that back at home. Thank you.
Nice. Hey, Scott Borchetta, super proud of you. Awesome job, Jade. Nice job, everybody. I just want to have a big thank you to the IndyCar, the city of Detroit, the fans, unbelievable. I hope we put on a good show for you guys. Roger Penske, I know that the Trans Am is in your blood. I know this is a big part of your legacy. I really hope that we did you proud. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of such a fantastic weekend here. I hope you will have us back. We've got Bruce Raymond here in the Pro-Am, Doug Peterson, Masters. But, gentlemen, I'm going to send it back up to you in the booth. Thank you guys so much. Such a great show.
Great stuff. Fantastic stories throughout. Confirmation of the result. Thomas Annunziata gets his first win for Nitro Motorsports. Connor Zilic, a brilliant second place from the back. And Chevrolet getting on the podium. Jade Buford in third position, representing Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers. Thad Moffitt, what a result. That's his best ever in Trans Am. And well done to him for safety clean. Barry Bowes, fifth. I would have thought that was probably his best result too. Justin Marks, sixth. Sargé in seventh. Austin Green, eighth. Sheehan, ninth. And Caleb Bacon rounding out the top 10. Drama indeed with that incident, but Goikhberg in 11th position. Merrill, the champion, in 12th. Cruz in the end finished 13th. Lostowski, Peterson, Mock, Mayer, Gallagher, Abate 19th, and Bruce Raymond in 20th position. I think the Pro-Am winner, and Peterson the Masters winner. Perront, McAvern, Young, Hearn, Rumberg, Matos, Noaker, and Skeen, all non-finishers in that one. Don't forget, you can see all the highlights, what has been a truly brilliant weekend of racing around the streets of Detroit on MAV TV. That's right, Thursday night, that's the Trans Am night, Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers TA2 Series at 8 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss all those highlights. We'll be bringing you them throughout the season on MAV TV. Well, my last thoughts, I'll turn to Scott Goodyear and get his thoughts first and foremost. What do you reckon? Good weekend?
Well, you got to get to the finish line, take the checker flag before you can say yourself a winner. And actually, Brent Cruz, we thought certainly was going to win it. But, you know, elbows out, a lot of rubbing and bumping going on here in the Trans Am and the streets of Detroit. And, you know, words are that we're going to come back here again next year, and this will turn into a bigger and better event. But the racing that went in all the way through the pack with some great racing going on, tough on a race course like this that's bumpy. But for sure, the young guns are coming into Trans Am and starting to take over. So it's a great show.
My thanks to Scott Goodyear and to our entire Greenlight Television team, bringing you the action from Detroit. And congratulations also to MAV TV, our new partner in television, to enjoy this. It's always hard to come into the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford Mustang, but these boys put on a show. Well done, everybody. That's the end of our Showdown from Motor City. Until next time, goodbye for now. Good is this? Look at this view from Lostowski.
It brings all my fans, it brings the audience into the car with me.
Speed turn, 140 mile an hour entry speeds.
The quickest and most efficient way for me to get information to my drivers is from using the V-Box HD2 system.
I'm Richard Petty, and you might say I've had a fairly successful driving career. And you know the secret of my success? Having a good support team around me when I need it. Whether you're a route driver, over-the-road trucker, or you're interested in driving special purpose vehicles, Clean Harbors is the kind of place where you can build a long driving career. Do yourself a favor, give Clean Harbors a call.